Hey everyone, welcome to our deep dive. Today we're looking into AI and specifically how to navigate all the tools and information out there. It can be overwhelming, right? You've given us this roadmap, your AI roadmap.pdf. It's really good. Gives some good strategies for cutting through the noise and building a sustainable system for learning and implementing AI. I have a feeling this is going to be really helpful for a lot of you listening.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's a really common challenge that people face. One of the biggest things is just the sheer number of AI tools that are available. It's easy to fall into what the roadmap calls AI tools paralysis,
Mm-hmm.
just constantly evaluating all these new options without actually using any of them.
Yeah, it's like being at a giant buffet, so overwhelmed by all the choices that you end up not eating anything.
Totally. And you know what? The roadmap actually brings up a really interesting point. Focusing on those benchmark tests can actually make it worse, believe it or not.
Right.
Yeah. Take OpenAI's GPT models, for example. The newer one, it actually scored higher on the benchmark tests. But guess what? The older one was faster and cheaper for a lot of tasks. So it's a good reminder that what really matters is the real-world impact, not just how it performs in a theoretical setting.
Okay, that makes sense. So how do we actually get out of this trap? The roadmap mentions this minimum viable toolkit. What does that even look like for someone like me, a content creator? I'm always looking for ways to make my workflow smoother and take advantage of AI.
Sure. Well, think about the core tasks of content creation: research, writing, editing, promotion. Imagine having one really strong tool for each of those areas.
Okay.
So let's say you decide to go with Perplexity for research. Its speed and user-friendliness just really fit your needs better than maybe ChatGPT or Gemini Research Mode, even though some people might consider those tools better.
Okay, so I've got Perplexity for research. What about writing?
Well, for that, ChatGPT could be a great choice. It's a solid all-around tool for generating different types of content. Then you could look into something like Grammarly for editing, and maybe even a social media scheduling tool that has some AI built in for optimizing your posts. You see how we're building this really lean and effective toolkit that's tailored to exactly what you need?
Yeah, that's making a lot of sense. And I like that I can add or switch out tools as my needs change. But even with the perfect toolkit, I still run into problems when it comes to actually using the tools. I mean, all those long and complicated prompts, it sometimes feels like I'm spending more time just crafting the perfect prompt than I am on the actual work.
Yeah, that's what the roadmap calls death by prompts. It's a major pain point for a lot of people. It's like having a fancy kitchen appliance, but you can't figure out the right settings to cook a simple meal.
It's the worst. You know what? I actually have this great prompt for writing really clear and concise copy, but it is so long that I almost never use it. It just feels counterproductive.
I hear you. That's where text expanders come in. Things like Alfred, Raycast, Beef Text. They can really change the game. They let you save those huge prompts as short, easy-to-remember shortcuts. Imagine just typing something like "chu-che-chi, concise, clear," and boom, that entire copywriting prompt pops up.
Oh man, that would be amazing. Like a secret code for AI power.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can take it a step further. You can actually embed prompts directly into your workflows. Think about it this way. It's like adding a reminder to a calendar event. You wouldn't have a separate note that says "bring ID" for your doctor's appointment, right?
Right.
So instead of having a whole separate document for all your prompts, you can integrate them right into the tools you're already using.
Okay, so instead of a separate document, I could put them right in the tools I'm using.
Yes, let's say you have a weekly time slot on your calendar for summarizing project updates. You can put a link to the specific prompt you need right there in the event description. You could even link to the text expander shortcut too. Double whammy.
And if I'm using like Asana or Trello, for project management, I could attach prompts to specific tasks. That way the prompt is right there when I need it.
Exactly. You're getting it. Another example, let's say you use a spreadsheet to keep track of client feedback. You could embed a prompt that helps you summarize and standardize all that feedback.
This is blowing my mind. It feels like I'm finally moving beyond just using AI tools and actually integrating them into how I work. This is making me think of that Notion prompts database that the roadmap talked about. Sounds like something I need in my life.
We'll definitely get into that more later. It's an awesome way to build a central hub for all your prompts and link them to different parts of your workflow. But first, let's talk about the final challenge the roadmap brings up. Ready to tackle update suffocation.
Oh, I know that feeling all too well. It's like trying to keep up with a news ticker that's constantly scrolling with AI updates and new features. It's so exciting, but also completely overwhelming.
Yeah, I think a lot of people listening can relate to that. I remember a colleague who was just starting to feel comfortable with Gemini, and then suddenly all these new AI agent capabilities are announced. They felt like they were constantly falling behind, never mastering one thing before the next big thing came along.
It's like you're afraid to commit to learning a new tool or technique because you're worried it'll be outdated in a few months. How do we break free from that cycle of feeling overwhelmed by updates?
Well, the roadmap suggests a two-step system called the impact loop, and it starts with a change in mindset. The first step is learn, but the key is to be super selective. Instead of trying to consume every single AI update, find one or two trusted sources who consistently provide the most relevant information.
So it's about choosing quality over quantity when it comes to AI information. I'm already thinking about some newsletters and podcasts I could unsubscribe from to make space for more focused learning.
That's a great first step. The author of the roadmap even has a strategy for newsletters. They say subscribe to 6 popular ones. Then over a few days, unsubscribe from any that don't resonate with you. You'll be left with 1 or 2 that consistently deliver valuable information. And speaking of podcasts, the AI Daily Brief is a good one for concise audio updates.
I'll have to check that out. So I've found my trusted sources, I'm staying informed, but now what? I still need to put all this information into action.
Exactly. That takes us to step 2 of the impact loop. Take action. The roadmap recommends setting aside a specific block of time each week, maybe an hour on a Saturday or something, to experiment with just one thing you learned during the week.
So instead of passively absorbing information, I'm actively putting it into practice.
Yeah,
It's like taking a cooking class and then actually trying out a new recipe at home.
exactly. And the great thing about this approach is that it encourages you to be consistent, even if it's just in small doses. The author of the roadmap shares some good examples. After reading about ChatGPT's Notion integration, they made time to actually explore it and see how it could fit into their work.
Did they say what happened after that? Did they end up using it?
They did. They found it super useful for certain tasks, like summarizing meeting notes and brainstorming ideas for blog posts. Another week, they tested out some prompts from Google's prompt library. They focused on prompts that were related to their job and ended up finding a few that really boosted their efficiency.
Wow, those are really practical examples of how the impact loop can work. I'm seeing how these seemingly simple steps can lead to big changes in how I use AI. I'm still really curious about that Notion Prompts database, though.
Don't worry, we'll get to that.
About that.
Well, before we dive into the specifics, how about a quick recap of what we've covered so far?
Okay, so we've looked at the 3 main challenges from the roadmap: tool paralysis, death by prompts, and update suffocation. And we've talked about some strategies for overcoming them, like focusing on real-world impact, using text expanders, curating our information sources, and actively experimenting with new things.
Exactly. And the big takeaway is that building a strong relationship with AI is about creating a sustainable system, not just chasing the latest trend.
It's about making AI work for you, not the other way around. And it all begins with understanding your needs, choosing the right tools, and smoothly integrating AI into your workflow.
Well said. Now let's shift gears and explore the world of Notion Prompts databases.
So before the break, we were talking about embedding those prompts right into our workflows. I'm already starting to see how that could be a game changer.
Yeah, it's all about bringing the information to where you already are. Instead of having prompts as these separate things, we're weaving them into our daily work.
I like that. The roadmap gave examples with calendar events and project management spreadsheets. But what about some more out-of-the-box applications?
Oh, for sure. Let's say you're a content creator and you're hitting that dreaded writer's block. Staring at a blank page. Instead of that, imagine this. You open up your content planning template and boom, right there in the document is a prompt ready to go.
So in my content calendar, there's a prompt to help me generate ideas.
Exactly. And you can tailor the prompt to what you need. Maybe you need blog post ideas that are optimized for a specific keyword or articles that fit a certain theme. The AI does the hard work, giving you a starting point for your creativity.
That takes so much pressure off. I'm already feeling less scared of that blank page.
That's the beauty of it. Those prompts become a natural part of your process. Here's another example. Imagine you're a sales professional using a CRM system. They need to write a personalized email to a potential client.
Okay, I'm picturing them in their CRM. They click on the client's profile and...
Instead of an empty email, there's a prompt right there in the CRM, ready to help them write a compelling and personalized message.
Hold on, could that prompt even pull information from the client's profile?
Absolutely. It could suggest subject lines based on their industry, personalize the greeting, and even point out key selling points that would resonate with them.
Wow. That's not just saving time, it's creating a better experience for the client.
Exactly. It's all about using AI to enhance your skills. Working smarter, not harder. Remember that Notion prompts database we mentioned earlier? That's a fantastic way to keep all your prompts organized and connect them to different workflows.
Yes, I was hoping we'd come back to that. I pretty much live in Notion, so tell me more.
Okay, so picture this. You have a dedicated Notion page. It's your prompt library, organized by category. You might have sections for different types of content you create, or stages of your workflow. You can even have prompts that are specific to certain clients. Each prompt gets its own page, a clear title, a description of what it does, and of course the actual prompt text.
So it's like this master library of AI power, all neatly organized and accessible right in Notion.
You got it. And here's where it gets really interesting. From any other Notion page, you can link directly to a specific prompt in your database. Let's go back to that sales professional. In their CRM workflow, they could have a link that says, Generate personalized email prompt. Clicking it takes them right to the prompt in their Notion database.
That's so smooth. It's combining the power of AI with the organization and flexibility of Notion. My mind is already racing with possibilities.
Notion is so customizable,
Yeah.
you can create a prompts database that fits you perfectly. Are you excited about the possibilities yet?
Absolutely. This whole thing about embedding prompts has been a big aha moment for me. But now I'm wondering, are there any tips or best practices for building a really effective Notion prompts database? What separates a good one from a great one?
Great question. And that leads us perfectly into the final part of our deep dive. We'll explore some advanced strategies for maximizing your AI toolkit. And yes, that includes building a Notion prompts database that will become your secret weapon for productivity.
Okay, let's get into those Notion prompts database tips. I'm already picturing my own little AI command center.
I like it. Having a really well-organized Notion prompts database can be a total game changer. Let's start with how you categorize everything. Think about how you usually group your tasks or projects.
Well, I tend to do it by clients or by the type of content I'm working on, blog posts, social media, newsletters, that kind of thing.
Perfect. Those become your main categories in the database. You create a separate page for each one, then you start adding your prompts to those pages.
Got it. So under blog posts, I might have prompts for things like generating titles, outlines, introductions, conclusions, all the parts of a blog post.
Exactly. And here's a pro tip. Don't just paste in the prompt text. Give each prompt a clear title and a brief description. Explain what it does and when you'd use it. That makes your database so much easier to use.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've definitely just dumped prompts into a document before without any real context.
We've all been there. Another good practice is to include some examples of successful outputs. That way you can quickly see what each prompt is capable of. It might even spark some new ideas.
It's like having a showcase of AI-generated content right there in my database. I love it.
Exactly. And as you're using your prompts and making them better, don't forget to update your database with those changes. It's a living document, evolving along with your AI skills.
It sounds like building this database is all about experimenting and refining, just like our whole journey with AI, as we've been talking about.
It definitely is. Your relationship with AI is a constant process of learning, adapting, and figuring out what works best for you. There's no one-size-fits-all solution.
That's something the roadmap really emphasizes. It's not about blindly chasing trends. It's about building a system that works for you, for your own needs and goals.
And that's where the true power of AI comes in. Not in the hype, but in using it to enhance your creativity, productivity, and impact in a way that matters to you.
This deep dive has been so insightful. We've covered selecting the right tools, making those awesome prompts, and now we're building our own AI control center in Notion. I feel like I have a much better grasp on how to navigate this world of AI and make it work for me.
That's great to hear. Remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Just focus on building that sustainable system. Stay curious and keep experimenting.
Great advice. To everyone listening, think back to that question we asked earlier. What's your biggest challenge when it comes to AI? Which of these strategies really resonated with you?
And most importantly, what's one tiny step you can take this week to put what you've learned into action? Even a small action can set you on the right path towards a more powerful and productive relationship with AI.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you're feeling inspired and ready to explore the amazing potential of AI.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep pushing those boundaries. We'll be here to support you every step of the way.